Thank you. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 16. All right. The first part of this chapter, he tells them that God's messenger is coming, and he's coming for one purpose, and that is to judge. In verse 8, we find God accuses the Judeans at this time, or the Israelites, of robbing him, and tells them of the rich blessings that they would have if they would simply turn to him and believe him. And in verse 13, the people have the audacity to ask, what profit is it to serve God anyway? They looked around and saw the sinners within their own fellowship, within their own nation, and probably those outside their nation, and said, they're better off than we are. Therefore, since they don't serve God, and they're better off than we are, then the only logical conclusion that I can reach is that there's no profit in serving God. Of course, that rests on one assumption. And that assumption is that I am doing everything I can to please my Heavenly Father. And that's where the mistake lies. So let's pick it up with verse 13 and keep in mind what they have just said in verse 15, where he says, now we call the arrogant blessed. Not only are the doers of wickedness built up, but they also test God and escape. In verse 16, hold on, let me get on the right page. Verse 16, then we have another group of people who apparently heard what this majority group of complainers had to say. It says, then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another, probably what about? In contrast to what these other people were saying in the previous verses. And the Lord gave attention and heard it, and the book of remembrance was written before him for those who fear the Lord and who esteem his name. He says, they will be mine, says the Lord, when on the day that I prepare or make my own possession. And remember, Peter calls us a peculiar people, or actually a people for God's own possession. And I will spare them as a man spares his own son who serves him. So you will again distinguish between the righteous and the wicked. And that's what they were having trouble with back in verse 13 and 14, was they couldn't make a distinction. They couldn't see a distinction between the wicked and the righteous. So you will again distinguish between the righteous and the wicked, between one who serves God and one who does not serve him. Now, going back to verse 16, it and these verses that I just read point to the blessings which those who fear the Lord are going to receive because of their godly way of living. And that's all summed up in the words, fear the Lord. Then he says, and look how that verse starts. Again, I mentioned, they probably heard the conversation of those who were complaining, and they decided to offer a counterbalance or a contrast that had been caused by the words of the ungodly. And did they lose their faith in this comparison? No, they did not. And they may have been defending God's righteous dealings against these complainers. We don't know.
I don't think of a single incidence of those that were righteous in the Old Testament at any point about God.
Until you. Oh, the righteous complaint. Oh, no.
The unrighteous complaint. Well, they were whining from the personal.
They were scratching their head. Why is God not blessing me?
And those that were righteous you never hear, and the righteous came forward and cried before the Lord, saying, why have you mistreated us?
Right. No, that's a good point, John. That's a good point. So they knew that when they spoke to one another that there was going to come a time, very soon, this day, that God had just talked about, when there would be a distinguishing mark between those who fear the Lord and those who complain. And I noticed this book of remembrance, which was written, by the way, to lie before the Lord, as it were, to serve as a constant reminder of the deeds of the people who feared the Lord, and I was reminded immediately, back in Esther. You remember Haman was going to have Mordecai hung that night, and the king of Persia could not sleep, so he gave an order to bring the book of records, the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. It was found written what Mordecai had reported concerning Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs, who were doorkeepers, that they had sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. The king said, "What honor or dignity has been bestowed on Mordecai for this?" Then the king's attendants who attended him, servants who attended him, said, "Nothing has been done for him." And that's the same idea. That book was opened before the king, and it reminded, he didn't even know anything about it, but had it not been for this book of remembrance, he would have never known that Mordecai foiled what was an assassination plot against King Ahasuerus, the king of Persia. And that's a similar idea of what we're looking at here in Malachi chapter 3. So, in it says it was written before him for those who feared the Lord, and it's this group of people who know where the God of justice can be found. You remember the complainers that said, "Where is the God of justice?" And they said, "We know exactly where he is. We're not having any trouble finding him whatsoever. It's you that are having the difficulties finding the Lord Jehovah God." Verse 17, I think the day he's talking about there is the day of judgment, which accompanies his coming. And it's going to be a day of judgment on particular the people who were, not only, but in the context, those who were complaining, "What good does it do to serve God?" And this day will also answer the question back in Malachi chapter 3, verse 2, who can endure the day of his coming? Well, Malachi is going to tell us who can endure and who cannot. He says, "They will be mine on the day I prepare my own possession, and I will spare them." That's main blessing number one. As a man spares his own son who serves him, I will spare them, and it implies that what's he doing to sinners at the same time? He's punishing them, but I will spare my people my own possession. And then we'll have an easy way to determine the difference between the complainers and those who fear the Lord. Now in verse 18, Malachi asks the complainers to consider what had been said concerning the righteous, or those who feared the Lord, by telling them that they will see the difference between the righteous who serve God and the wicked who don't. And they will learn that it is always profitable to serve God. Now notice that word in verse 18 again. So you will again distinguish between the righteous and the wicked. Can you give me one great Old Testament example when God made the distinction or drew a clear demarcation line between those who did and did not serve Him? Pastor, good point. Can you think of more? I'm sorry? Sodom and Gomorrah. How about when they escaped those masses when they crossed the Red Sea? It'd been done before. And my question is, these people were supposed to know the law, but what had happened to those who were teaching them the law? We just went through that. The judges were falling down upon their the judges. The priests, thank you, Rose. The priests had fallen down greatly on their job, and that may be the reason why Malachi had to, well, what shall we say, give them a stern reminder of what God had already previously done. He had always made the distinction between the righteous and the unrighteous. Is He going to do it today? Is He always promised I'm going to do it today or tomorrow, Lloyd? No, but I will. I will. I just have to have a little patience and faith to go along with it. Okay, any questions on Malachi chapter 3? All right, chapter 4. Speaking of the day and the separation that God is going to make, I guess I better move this, hadn't I? Behold, the day is coming, and it is burning like a furnace. And all the arrogant, and I have run across that word before. Oh, 3:15. So now we call the arrogant grace. Okay, and all the arrogant and every evildoer will be chaff. That's a pretty strong demarcation line. And the day is coming, that is coming will set them ablaze, says the Lord of hosts, so that it will leave them neither root nor branch. So the arrogant and the evildoers that I just called your attention to, remembrance there just a minute ago, who were earlier described as doing quite well and prosperous and profiting from being wicked, are now left to burn like stubble, so that there's not even going to be anything left when the judgment process has been completed.
No value whatsoever.
Huh?
No value whatsoever.
No, they're just destroyed. Just destroyed. And in verse 2 he says, but, there's the demarcation line, as for you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings, and you will go forth and skip about like calves from the stall. You will tread down the wicked, victory, for they will be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day which I am preparing or making. Now, we have a lot of strong opinions about who or what is the Son of Righteousness. Some of the translations I've checked capitalized Son. Is this verse ever quoted in the New Testament? Who knows? Scholars? It is not.
It is in the Psalm.
Yeah. In a song it is, yes, in a song. But it's S-U-N, not S-O-N. Now, Bert Kaufman is completely convinced that because Jesus says, I am the light of the world, and so on and so forth, that is a reference to Christ. Others take the equally strong opinion that since it's not called to our attention in the New Testament as being a prophecy of the Messiah, then we'll just leave it there. So you can take whichever.
What does it hurt anyway? What does it hurt or help you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I'm just saying, there's people on both sides. Yes, ma'am.
Since it's capitalized, I would go with it representing Jesus.
Yes. Now, the translators who capitalize it understand it of Jesus. Mine doesn't capitalize it. Yours does. Some do, some don't. Now, if it's a reference to Christ, of course, it fits in very well as the light of the world and so on and so forth. Now, when he talks about the wing in the sun of righteousness that's going to rise, it's the rays of that sun which bring the healing, which would also fit Jesus if that's your take on it.
If it's not your take on what it
It means righteousness is rising like the sun and will bring healing to everyone. Okay? Either way fits, because we've got a day of judgment coming when the wicked are what? Eliminated, and only the righteous are left. And so we can see a sun rising coming from the east with righteousness as righteousness personified, if you want to, healing everyone. So you take whichever choice you like. Anyway, the people, the righteous people, says that they will be like calves from the stall. That is, they have been, either two ways to look at this. They have been pent up and now are released and can go have a good time out in the meadow, or they've been protected in the stall, well fed and well taken care of, and are happy to be that way. But whatever it is, these people who fear God are happy and contented, putting their faith in Him. Now, in verse 3, he talks about you will tread down the wicked. Now, all of you know, of course, what the victor did to the vanquished when the battle was over. What did the victorious leader do to the one that was defeated? He'd take his foot or his boot and put it on the face or the neck of the fellow who happened to be on the wrong end of the battle, just to emphasize to him that, buddy, you lost, and I won, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows it as I step on you. And that was, of course, a great humiliation.
And hold it still.
And I don't know how long they was holding. Yeah. Anyway, it was a degrading and demonstrative action to put your feet on somebody's neck as they lay defenseless on the ground. But anyway, he says you will tread down the wicked, and that solves the difficulty that we saw back in 3:15 of calling the arrogant blessed and the doers of wickedness built up, because now we see them, as it were, prostrate on the ground with another general's boot upon their neck to humiliate them. Now, in verse 4, in order for you people to be ready for the day that I am preparing, that we've been talking about, I want you to remember the law of Moses, my servant, even the statutes and ordinances which I commanded him in Horeb for all Israel. Now, God had been emphasizing their abuses and their neglect of the law of Moses for 1,000 years, roughly. Over and over and over again. So he's decided he's not going to go through the details anymore. This is my last call.
Get your house in order.
Get your house in order. If you would remember the law of Moses, that is, follow it, then you'll be ready for that great day, and you won't be the ashes left on the floor after you have been burned in the fire.
He's speaking here in this simple section to the righteous remnant.
Yes, he is.
He's just reminding them.
Good point. Good point.
Keep on.
Keep on. Do not forget. Because that was the statutes and ordinances and directions that God gave them through Moses, and said, if you'll follow this, I'll bless you all every step of the way.
He's pretty well given up on everybody else except mine.
That's a good point. John said it looks like he's pretty much given up on everybody else. Let's see. Okay, verse 5. Behold, I'm going to send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. He will restore the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, so that I will not come and smite the land with a curse. In my humble opinion, this messenger, Elijah, is the same one that we just talked about last week. Chapter 3, verse 1. I'm going to send my messenger, and he will clear the way before me. And who did we figure out from the New Testament references that I put up that this messenger was? John the Baptist.
And this is the last thing the Lord says for 400 years.
This is his final remark.
Until the next thing that's said is the angel coming to listen.
Yes, and that was not until 20 years after Jesus went back to heaven that it was written.
Yeah, probably.
It was.
But
It was. We know the events took place.
that was the last word that is recorded from.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Yes. We're now at about 430 BC, so if you count out 400 years, you come out at 30 BC roughly, and that's the birthday of what person? Roughly. Jesus of Nazareth. Okay, so we call it the silent, or the silent 400 years. Now, it doesn't mean God wasn't doing anything. It just means that he used prophets no longer for a 400-year span. There was silence as far as God's prophets until after Christ's death, when he revealed, I don't know who the first New Testament writer was. Mark? Luke? I don't know. I'm sorry, caught myself off guard there. But anyway, we have a rough timeline on that. Now, let me tell you what I found about Elijah. You remember how he died?
Yes, he did.
Exactly. He did not die. 2 Kings 2. He was taken up by a whirlwind up to heaven. So what more obvious person to say that he's coming back? Because as far as the Jews are concerned, he never died. And we don't know if he did or not.
And that's who they compared John the Baptist to.
Yes, it is.
When they were saying, some say it's Elijah, some say, and they bring up this verse.
Yes, they
That
do.
Elijah was coming, Jesus said.
In the spirit and power of Elijah. And it's John the Baptist you're talking about. Yes.
And you treat it however you want.
Yes. Speaks here of the great and terrible day of the Lord. That would be the day that he was preparing, that we've been talking about, when he's going to make the separation between the righteous and the unrighteous. For some it would be great. For some it would be terrible, I guess is the way I would put it. And this day was to be in connection with the coming of John, okay, who would prepare the way for Christ. And within 40 years of John's coming, what disaster befell the Jews?
Everything.
Just yes.
It's all
And finally, the collapse came. It's the year 70, when Titus and his Roman legions leveled the city and probably killed hundreds of thousands of Jews, crucified them on the walls, is what they did. Now, the Jews, you cringe at that, and you're right. But let me tell you, they have given the Romans enough reason to say, if I don't go down there and take care of this once and for all, I will never be free of these rebellious Jews.
The Jews
Brought it on themselves.
They had brought it on themselves
Yeah.
and had received lots more favor from the Romans than a lot of other nations that this had happened to much earlier and much with a whole lot less rebellion.
Yes, there was a large rebellion about 5 years, about the year 65. There was a huge rebellion. They cost a lot of Roman lives and a lot of Jewish lives. And I think there was another one boiling when they decided that we're going to go in there and we're going to finish this once and for all with these rebellious Jews. So, it's interesting here that I found what the Jews still do to this day. That, of course, they understand it to be who? Elijah the Tishbite in person is going to come back. Our premillennial friends believe the same thing, that Elijah in person, in the flesh, is going to return at the end times. And there was a strong tradition among the Jews that continues to the present day to the effect that the literal Elijah the Tishbite would in time return. And there's a feast of Purim, P-U-R-I-M, among the Jews to this day that sets a plate, a goblet, and an empty chair for Elijah when he comes back. So great are their expectations that Elijah in person is going to come back. Now, in verse 6, when Elijah gets here, it says he will bring about a reconciliation between the patriarchal fathers who feared the Lord and those of his day who perhaps didn't fear the Lord the way they were supposed to. And it was supposed to be brought out that between this reconciliation was between the disobedient children, that's who Malachi is dealing with here, and their believing ancestors as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and David, and Isaiah, and all the patriarchs that the Jews revered. And the Jews would ever ask themselves, or anybody that's a Christian, what kind of people made the Jewish Hall of Fame? For instance, back in the 11th chapter of Hebrews, what kind of men and women made the list? Men like Abraham, who was a man of faith, who was called out to go someplace he didn't even know where he was going, and didn't utter a complaint or ask a question, just packed his bags and left. So he's coming back to restore the children to the way that the fathers want their children, their patriarchal fathers, to live. That's what he wants, to restore, to bring about a reconciliation between the generations, bring them back to the God of their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and so on and so forth.
Restoration.
A restoration, yes. To restore things as they used to be. And that's the end of the Old Testament. Any final question? I'll give you 5 minutes spare.
Hey, could you go back over all this again right quick? Especially something.
Zechariah. No thanks. It has been sometimes a difficult journey, especially through Zechariah, but I found it profitable, even though I still don't understand it all. Never have said that. Any further comments or questions? Remember, next week, 1 John, and then hopefully, if it's the Lord's will, this fall, we will jump into Revelation and hope we don't drown. All right.
But next week,
1 John, starting 1 John next week, Billy will be in here for the summer. All right, let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for your word. We're thankful for your efforts to bring about reconciliation between those who fear you and those who perhaps aren't living like they should. We pray that you will bring us to faith and trust that no matter what seems to be happening on the outside, we know that you are our God, that you love us, and that you will one day bring us home. In Jesus' name, amen.